From a little cover, I got my dreams in sight. Wrestling on the mat, I go and put up a fight. With every hold and slam, I rise to the peak. Now as Professor Bear, it's my strength that they see. Roaring with knowledge like a lion so proud. In this wrestling world, I'm standing out loud. I'm Professor Bear, got the passion to spare. Wrestling's my life, with the power to share. From the roots to ropes, in the spotlight we gleam. Chasing victory dreams, living out the theme. Now my WOSN, my squad.
Yeah. Hey, new beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
With my forest crew, we'll always ride. In the wrestling world, one just claim the prize.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. I am Professor Burr, and this is A Burr's Thoughts. Guys, girls, we're coming to, unfortunately, we're at the last week of this great appreciation month for promoters, and man, we have learned a lot from the perspective of being a promoter, learning why they've gotten into the business, what they do, man, and we should be very, very thankful for everything they do for us to make sure that the sport that we love is still being representative in a strong manner. And with that said, I have a great guest today that is going to continue giving us the insight to being a promoter, which I have to say, most have said don't do it. But I understand, after talking and hearing their journey, I understand why they have that energy. But I can say truly,
No. Hey there, party people. You can see me. Star Destiny George Mack here. I don't know if I have lost my internet or if Professor Bear has lost his internet. Other things seem to work.
Hey, guys, as always, you can't help but love the internet because you never know when it's gonna just start freezing and kick you off your own platform. And so,
Ain't that the truth?
man, so y'all come to expect this from Professor Bear. Again, apologies to George, my guest. Apologies to you, the fans. But this is what you get from Professor Bear. Fun, energy, and things just happen. So, again, let me introduce my guest, George Mack, and he's the owner of Capital Pro Wrestling. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Other than the technology hiccup, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. And that's what I love. That's why I tend to love going live because things happen and it just embraces what we love in the sport, and that's what you do. Um, before we dive into it, I want the guys and girls to look up and see you all's logo. When you go looking for this promotion, I want you to make sure because again, wrestling, you can only have so many names, and you have companies that have similar names or exactly the same name. So I want to make it as easy as possible for you to know you got the right company. Plus, I put up the UR code, UR, the QR code, so you can go straight to their YouTube page and you can watch some of their great action that they put on for us wrestling fans. Now, with all that being said, the question I always love to ask my guest, George, is this: how did you become a wrestling fan?
Time immemorial. I mean, that's some of the first memories are watching pro wrestling on TV with my dad, and then I got into it a lot more as I continued to, grow up. I remember watching WCW Saturday Night when I was, 5, 6 years old, and watching WWF Superstars and getting into it, and it's always been a thing. Played with action figures, you know, the wrestled in my buddy's backyard in middle school, all that good stuff. It's just always been a part of what I do. It's always a part of who I am, and yeah, I assume it's going to continue that way.
Definitely understand that. So, how did you translate from going to just being a fan to getting into the business itself?
Well, when I was 18, there was a promotion that had recently started in mid Michigan called AWWL. And this was run by the Sheik's son. And I caught their first TV taping, on TV. And I was like, oh, I got to go to this. So I traveled to Lansing, where I live today. And I went to their studio TV taping, and after several months of going out there, I made friends with some of the other fans, and my best friend now, who's in Capital Pro Wrestling, he's one of our announcers, TV's Craig Black. He and I became friends, and he was working with another promoter in a different part of the state. And that promoter was like, dude, you got to come out and, watch some real wrestling. And I said, oh, okay, no problem. I was young. I went along with it. And doing that got me involved much more quickly with pro wrestling as I was a videographer, still am. But I was a videographer when I was young, and I joined their production team. And after that promotion died down, we continued on doing production, and traveled all around, and that really got me further into it until I got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm done with college, I'm done with college. I'm going to go and train. So I did. I went and trained, and I've been wrestling ever since.
So when you went, you like, hey, was this the end goal for you to be a promoter, or was it just circumstances happened and gave you the option of like, hey, I think I might want to promote now?
I think when I was young, I always wanted to be a promoter, run pro wrestling, follow the way I like wrestling, as opposed to the way the mainstream has gone. I'm not a huge fan of a good portion of the mainstream wrestling anymore. I like old school stuff. I like studio TV wrestling. That's what entertains me, and that's what I think a lot of people can actually get into. So like my buddy TV's Craig Black and myself, we've been looking for a long time for a proper venue and the proper people to work with, because I mean I had a lot of friends that ended up doing stuff like becoming something, and I really wanted to, when we were young, to be able to get us all together and be able to do stuff, but it took way too long for the pieces to fall into place, and but we always wanted to do it. We always wanted to run wrestling the way that we like it, and the way that I think most people, they like it. I mean, it's not the glitz and glamour of the high budget TV stuff, but it's old school. It's fun. People come out, they get loud and rowdy if they want to, and enjoy themselves.
So, and I believe, like, I'm a big old school guy myself, and it's just something about that dynamic that it seems to still talk to people. It's easy to follow along, but the storytelling is such a big art form that is just really, in the simplistic way, it's very simple. I mean, anyone can pick it up, but it's so immersed with good storytelling to, yes, it's simple good guy versus bad guy, but there's so many different art forms that you can take from doing that. I guess what I'm trying to say in that long filibuster of this, that, and the other is that it's so simple that it's so great, if you understand what I'm trying to say. That it's just that, geez, I'm trying to get my thoughts out there for people. It's not the sports entertainment is fine. That's what your thing is.
Hmm?
But it seems that you have to use more of your mind to follow along in a great story. And it drives people along for where the storytelling is the main focus and the wrestling. With that being said,
I like wrestling as the focus. It's pro wrestling.
thank you. After all that, that's as simple as way of putting it. Pro wrestling is the focus.
Yeah.
So with that being said, y'all getting that power, y'all starting to do it. How did y'all first start to build your promotion?
Well, we came together. There's a couple fellas who had been running pro wrestling in the area, and they were on and off, kind of, you get a show every few months maybe, and they were, oh, let's try to do something, and they wanted to work with me and my buddy, and we said, all right, that's fine. Let's do this thing. Let's do it right, and let's take care of it. But doing it right, of course, means a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And not everybody wants to do a lot of work, and I totally understand that. Being a promoter, being part of a promoting team it's time consuming. You get a lot of people that laugh at you, tell you no, don't want anything to do with you, because even in the year 2026, people are closed off to pro wrestling. I don't know why. It's still one of the most mainstream things that it's out there, but
Right.
it persists. It lives on. But they dropped out. Okay. So I said, well, we've finally got a venue. We finally got a place that we can work with. We finally got people together. We finally got, we've amassed our production equipment over the years, because after our as I was saying, we started doing production with another fella. Once he stopped, we continued on with our own production company. Hence why you see Head Drop Productions there. That was our production company until it folded into our American Lucha Libre brand. But we built up our equipment. We built up the know-how. We've done thousands of hours of pro wrestling production up to that point. We said, let's do it. We'll work harder. We'll find other people that can help out. We'll do what we have to do. Let's do our weekly TV. Let's do our weekly our tapings, and put together TV out of it, and put something out there that people can enjoy. They get behind if they want to. Sometimes it's pulling teeth, but at the end of the day, we have a good time doing it. Sometimes, you get up to show day, you kind of dread, like, oh God, what fresh hell awaits me today. But at the end of the day, if the show goes off well, people are happy, nobody's too hurt. Hey, you had a good day.
The main thing that catches my eye is your attitude. You have such a great attitude, and it seems like you are the type of guy that looks at the positives of everything. And no matter how bad something could be, you find positivity in it. And man, like just sitting here talking with you, man, as much as we talked about previously before we even went live, you just have an aura about yourself. It's just, it is what it is. I'm gonna make whatever comes out of it work. And
you have to.
And that's what I was gonna say, that man, that is such a driving force, especially in today's day and age, to be able to have that. You're going to succeed no matter what, and I appreciate that. And it's a great thing to do, and hopefully people can get behind it and learn how to do it themselves. And again, I love that energy, because you bring. I can imagine working behind the scenes with you. I can imagine 1,000 things happen, and you just stay so calm, cool, relaxed. Like, okay,
most
we
of
got
the
to
time,
go this way. We got to go this way. afterwards is tape done and like, see.
Well, most of the time, I mean, you got to try really hard to really get under my skin on something. You got to try really hard. You really have to go against the few simple things that I put out there. Like this, it's pro wrestling. It doesn't need to be the most complicated thing in the world. You know, you got you got to go out there. You got to make the fans happy. You got to make sure that you don't mess with you don't hurt the fans. You got to make sure that you're not making everyone look like a jackass, for lack of a better word. You know, you got everything. It is what it is. Once something's happened, it's happened. There's no point in worrying about it if there's nothing you can do about it. And if you can do something about it, there's no point worrying. Just do
it. Again, love the attitude, and I think that is why your brand is successful like it is, because you genuinely care and you do what you can, but you don't try to overextend yourself and to make yourself upset. I mean, again, I'm probably going to say it 4, 5 more times. It's a great place and great attitude to have. So let's talk about your promotion in particular now.
Sure.
Tell me about your main championship.
So our main title is the Great Lakes Television Championship. And right now it's being held by Sean Tyler. Sean Tyler is came to prominence with his group, The Purge. The Purge is running roughshod around the greater Michigan area for the past, we'll call it 7, 8, 9 years or so. Just a great talent, really good at what he does in the ring. I like having him around. He's had a little bit of I don't know if I want to call it ping-ponging, but kind of ping-ponging around with the pinballing. Maybe pinball's better. Moving around with the title this past year. Moved around a lot as opposed to staying solid with one person as it had been previously. But Sean Tyler's, he's snagged it, he's grabbed it, he's holding on to it, and he's defending it against anyone that steps up in his path. Not just at Capital Pro Wrestling, but elsewhere in the Great Lakes territories.
That's so cool. Now, another thing that is very unique in my eyes, from all the different wrestling that I know of and seen, that your television title is your main title. I'm used to more a lot of promotions having a heavyweight title be the number one title. Where did you come up with your television championship was going to be your main title?
Well, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I typically dislike using a weight class kind of thing, especially because, you know, I'm a heavyweight. I'm a super heavyweight myself. I'm a big guy. But most guys that are in wrestling anymore, unless you're the very upper echelon, you got guys that aren't technically heavyweights. They're not 235 plus or whatever you may want to make that. So I don't of course I contradict this immediately because we have our own super junior weight championship as well. But as the top prize, I want it to be something that it doesn't seem like there's a classification or a limit to it. It's something that everybody wants to get a hold of.
Right.
It's something that everybody should have the opportunity to challenge for. Good luck winning it. Good luck beating the champ. but everybody needs to go for it. And you know, I had delusions of grandeur when we first started out. I thought that the local TV stations were going to be all over what we were doing, and you know, then COVID hit, and that was awesome. It kind of ruined all my hard-working plans, but you know, and the state of network TV these days, and I spent a decade building up a YouTube channel from nothing to is still not very much, but you know, at least we've got thousands of videos on there.
I've talked to many promoters, and a lot of them have that mindset of, hey, it's not, I don't want to put a limit to my championship, but I think a lot of times they follow the typical programming of wrestling. You have a heavyweight, and I think it's just mostly in name only, because it's like you said, most people don't have big heavyweight guys, so it's just in name only. But
I like
go ahead.
When you have a name, I want the name to mean something. You know, if you say you have a heavyweight championship, but then you've got, you know, and this isn't to disparage anyone, but you got guys that are, you know, 180 pounds, you know, 5'9", 5'11", 180 pounds fighting for a heavyweight championship. In the minds of the fans, that doesn't seem logical. That doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. And pro wrestling can make sense really easily. you just have to let it happen. So I as best I can, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this or even necessarily great all the time, but as best I can, I try to set things up so it makes sense. It's logical. People don't have to, you know, suspend their disbelief, because you got other forms of entertainment to do that. Just have some wrestling. Here's a couple guys that want to fight. They're fighting. Let's go.
And it's funny that you say it like that, because one of my biggest pet peeves, and again, it's just it's mind-boggling to me when I see a company that has a world heavyweight champion and they don't even leave their own county. That bugs the hell out of me. I can't stand it. Again, like I said all the time, you own something, you can call it whatever you want to. That's your prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
But like you eloquently put it, make sense. Make sense. just make it make sense. Again, we're all adults, and just make it make sense. That you will have more fans that will follow, I believe, instead of you trying to make them, like you said, suspend their beliefs. Hey, you are world champion. You ain't go nowhere.
You're the world champion. You've defended that title in Lansing, Michigan. Great job. Come on.
And you don't defend it but every 3 months. So yes. So tell me about your secondary title. Like you said, it kind of blew your argument, but to me it made sense.
Well, we've got 2 other titles. We have the Great Lakes Tag Team titles, which, because I love tag team wrestling, I am a tag team wrestler these days. Myself and Mike Marvel, my tag team partner, we are unsurprisingly, but surprisingly, the current Great Lakes Tag Team Champions. In fact, we're going to see a title defense tomorrow night on the Great Lakes Professional Wrestling Showcase. I love tag team wrestling. I've always been a big fan of tag team wrestling. Again, Michigan based. So I grew up with the Steiners. And I loved watching the Steiners. Oh boy. And I said, man, tag team wrestling's really great. You know, you watch the Rock and Roll Express, you watched the Midnights, you watched the Arn and Tully, or Bobby Eaton and Arn, or Arn and anybody.
Right.
But you know, you got these guys were just that's what my mind moved toward. It was like, oh yeah, I like this. Tag team wrestling's great. You know, oh, he's in trouble. The hot tag. Oh God, everybody's going nuts. I love that stuff. You know, that was really important to me. So I've always made it a point to showcase tag teams in a tag team division, because I know not everybody does. Not every promotion likes to do tag team stuff, because with tag teams, you've got extra mouths to feed. And sometimes if you get too many mouths to feed, it becomes very difficult to feed anyone. And I always make sure that people get fed, both figuratively and literally, when it comes to being in my promotion, to hanging out with us, to doing the work. I try to make sure everybody gets taken care of. So, you know, we like to showcase the tag teams. In fact, our last event was the Los Lucha Loteria, where, you know, we did the random tag team drawings out in front of the crowd and said, all right, here's the tag matches. Winners go on to the big gauntlet battle at the end of the night. So I love tag team wrestling. I like to show it off whenever I can. You know, some people are really good tag team wrestlers. Some guys aren't. But let's do this.
So I'm a big tag team guy myself. And one of the things that you mentioned immediately made me go back in time. As much as I love the Midnight Express, I love and my personal favorite of all time is Tully and Arn. It was just their connection. They truly did not have to speak to know what the other one was thinking. And it's rare when I go back to look at their wrestling, it was rare that they had to talk to each other to know where the other one was. It was just there. No matter who, didn't matter the size of the team. It could have been the Road Warriors, the Russians, or it could be a fast, slow team. They systematically knew how to break people down. But you mentioned Arn and Beautiful Bobby Eaton. That, again, I think do not get enough credit because they didn't have enough time to shine. But with them two, I immediately think of Michael P.S. Hayes as their manager. And you have three of the greatest tag team specialists together in one unit. It was a point in time that I didn't think you could get better at that. There could be no better tag team with those three.
And you only got that for a minute with Hayes paired up with them. I remember that, but he was just there for, you know, a minute. So
yes.
But yeah, that, like, the what could have beens that come from something like that, right?
Yes. If Hayes wouldn't have went to the damn WWE at that point. But with tag teaming, like I said, I'm very much a tag team specialist guy. And I love the action. And I don't hear too many people use the WCW Battle Royal technique, because that is such a unique thing, and to get people you never thought would team up together and you had to do it. Even you can hate that guy, but you wanted that money at the end, so you put your differences aside for that time and you went at it.
It was said, in the crowd that when we were drawing all the names, there's a little bit of incredulousness. My TV's Craig Black. Hey, this is probably the only thing in pro wrestling that you can guarantee. I'm pulling the names right now out of the thing. This is as random as it's gonna get.
What gave you that ideal to do it? And like you said, to pull the names live is something, because again, most people are gonna think, oh, well, hell, y'all gimmicked it and y'all already knew. But to actually do it live and nobody knew how who was gonna be what is such an amazing thing for me. I wish you could see. Hell, I'm not even in it, and I'm getting goosebumps from just thinking about that.
You watch it. I watched it when I was a kid. I loved the Battle Bowl stuff. I thought Battle Bowl was a great idea. I would have loved to see it continue over time. It went away, but I said nobody's doing it. If nobody's doing it, it's fair game. Bring it back. I was like, I always loved doing that. And yeah, you could sit there and you could cheat everybody by, fixing it. We said, yeah, let's not fix it. Let it go random. There's enough animosity between different people, over the course of the past several years. Everything's organic. Everything's going to happen. And hey, you get to see pairings. You get to see people in matches with each other that might not otherwise happen. And I like that. I think that gives an opportunity for the matchmaking committee to take a look at it and say, oh, let's do this. This is this person, they're actually really great. Let's give them a shot. So that's what I like to do. It's a good way to let there's typically, we've done this as our second year, and there's usually people who we haven't seen on our programming. There's a spot available for you. Come on out. You'll get in the drawing. Where we go from there, we'll see what happens. But hey, otherwise, I might not see you. You might send us a dozen videos along with the other 100 people that send a dozen videos in. I'm not watching all the videos. I don't got the time. I tell people, I'm like, you send it in. I'll get a look when I can, but your best thing, just come on out. Show up, let me see your face, let me talk to you. That's the best way to do it.
For me, again, with this conversation, it's easy to see that you are still a fan of wrestling. And with that, it translates. It's almost, and if this offends you, I don't mean to, but you're more Tony Khan than Tony Khan is.
Hey, it'd be nice if I had that kind of budget.
Right? But you are getting, you still can have the little kid inside you still is dreaming and able to put on the show that he wanted and thinks is great for everybody.
I want to see what happens. I want people to come out and enjoy themselves. I want them to come back. I want the fans to tell their friends. I want people who aren't geographically local. I want them to check out the episodes. I know that there's a million things to choose from though. Like I probably would have thought if I was a kid, this is great. Look at all the wrestling and all of it. But man, there's just so much everything out there these days. It's really hard to get anybody's attention for more than a few seconds, if you can even pull that off. So, I'm always real thankful for the people that that spend their Sunday afternoon with us, the people that, you know, take a half hour or so out on a Tuesday night or later on and watch our programs, because, you know, I put it all together. I gotta say, I gotta edit tomorrow's show tonight. You know, I gotta get it done and ready to go, upload and hopefully, you know, people check it out. You know, but like I said, you've got hundreds of competing wrestling content videos to go for,
Right.
and you know, I'm not super up to date when it comes to getting this social media viral stuff going. I don't know. I just put it on TV and watch it, you know. I guess I'm old like that, not just old school, but old like that. If it could easier for people to find, I guess that's got to be one of the things we still need to work on. But hey, you put it out there. Hopefully somebody likes it. As long as people are enjoying it, as long as I have the means to do it, I'll keep doing it.
So, another thing that I wanted to ask you about is your second promotion, the American Lucha. What possessed you to start that brand?
All right. So things got convoluted back when we first started figuring this all out. We had Head Drop Productions. Head Drop Productions was a legitimate, you know, it was an LLC, is our legitimate production company. And then the guys that we had hooked up with, they were already using Capital Pro Wrestling as a kind of a name. It wasn't a business, it was just kind of their name. And you know, I was like, well, we need to have a business. You know, if we're going to be different people working together, we got to be legitimate about it. So we were like, okay, American Lucha Libre, that is the business, that is the sanctioning body, as it were, that Capital Pro Wrestling falls under. And then Capital Pro Wrestling has our TV or our YouTube series, the Great Lakes Professional Wrestling Showcase. So American Lucha Libre is the legitimate, this is, you know, the actual thing. Capital Pro Wrestling is, you know, our brand. And then, you know, our TV show, as it were.
Okay. Makes sense. One thing I had to talk about too is when I went to go look at your YouTube and I was getting stuff together real quick. I love the old school of the Great Lakes. I love that. It immediately caught my eye when I was rushing, but it stood out to me. I'm like, damn, that's that old school feel. It reminds me of waking up as a kid in the late 70s, 80s, and seeing the show come on, and you saw wrestlers. That again is just a great feeling to throw me back to my childhood. And I was like, man, I love that. Sometimes you can do the simplest things to get the most you can get the most reaction from. And I definitely love that.
You can get really fancy with stuff, but getting really fancy with stuff is time consuming. It's resource consuming. And I mean, I don't have unlimited resources, unfortunately. I don't have unlimited time, unfortunately. So I want to put out something that isn't offensive to look at, you know, like, oh God, this is horrible. Why I turn this off? I don't want to put off something like that. I want it to be something that people can look at and say, oh, okay, it's wrestling. It's not, you know, jerking around and cuts and too much at you all the time. It's wrestling. There's commentary, there's wrestlers, they're wrestling, they're giving it an interview after the match. Cool. You know, now I could understand. Now I know a little bit more about this guy that won because he got hopped on and had an interview after the match and was able to help explain himself, help tell about himself. Great. That's all I want. It's simple.
And again, in the world we in, sometimes simple things are the best things. Another thing that I noticed was that you with the simplistic of the company and doing it that way, it's more, it feels more easily family friendly. It makes grandma wants to go and bring the whole family so she can the grandkids can get the understanding and enjoy it. It's that vibe of family friendly that still is out there versus the what is it, the over sexual, over violent wrestling world that it seems like is today is normal.
Yeah.
You talked about how you don't keep up with a lot of it and you're just based on that vibe. Do you think that helps you and your company be that niche, that family friendly programming that people will get behind and enjoy?
I do. We get desensitized to stuff real easy. And there are promotions that they just do ultra violence. And I think that there can be a place for a death match, as it were. But if everything's a death match, how long until somebody needs to die in order to make it a thing? People get desensitized to it. They want more and more and more and more and more and more and more. My goal's the opposite. I want if something happens, like people actually care.
Right.
They're like, oh, whoa, I didn't see that was gonna happen. Like, oh my God. Like back in the day, a pile driver. Lawler hits someone with a pile driver, everyone loses their mind. Now people are doing, a Canadian destroyer into a Canadian destroyer into no. What are you doing? Like now the people now you need to keep going more and more and more. There's a limit. There's an upper limit that people have.
Right.
That athletes have, that anyone has. If you keep trying, you keep bumping up against it, pretty soon nobody cares anymore. Because, well, I've already seen that. Oh, they just did a and this would be really cool, but like, oh, they just did a triple front flip from the top rope. Oh, well. Like, no, that's spectacular.
Right.
Like, that's something that's pushing human limitations. But people won't care because they see it all the time. Then it's just build up to something. Have the beef build up over time. I try to keep guys away from each other that are beefing too hard. We're not going to throw them in a match with each other every time we have an event. I'm not going to, they get angry. They want to fight. They want to have a special match of some sort to put an end to it. Great. Then there's actually an end to it.
again, what you saying, that two thoughts came across my mind. I remember when you had that finale match. It was, if it went to a cage match, you knew it was coming to a crescendo, that it was going to be done one way or the other. No matter who won, it was going to be done. And I think about Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA in that I Quit match. Just iconic. I love that you can see the little things that people take for granted. They showed throughout the match. It was a build. It was a build. It was a build. When it happened, and I remember when Magnum TA was in this car wreck, and he happened to be back on the superstation, and Tully Blanchard and J. Dillon came out, and Tully said this line, and it just struck me so much. He's like, you know what? I tried to stay away from you. I tried to ignore you, but you starting to get in my business. And I understand you're an athlete, but go heal up, get yourself back. So then me and you can have this. But you're not gonna be sitting here talking crap. I had to live with I quit. Everywhere I go, I quit for 2 years. I quit. That right there showed how much that one incident still have so much weight. 2 years later, it drew people in and made it even more devastating when Tully hit him. It was like, oh my God, no! And that's how the chaos, again, going back to what you're saying, you have a build to everything. And it made it where you were just shocked. Like, you couldn't believe it. And going back to finishes, the most devastating finish that I remember as a kid was Mr. Wrestling 2 $1 Million Knee Drop. I mean, he just hit you with his knee, and everybody lost their freaking mind.
Yeah.
It was so simple, but they built it up. If, like you said, you got hit with a pile driver, hell, they would take you off TV for weeks.
Yeah.
And now people do like 17 pile drivers during the match, and hell, the referee will take one and pop right back up.
And hey, I'll give it to the athletes of today. The athletes of today are better athletes. They're in better shape. They have better conditioning than the athletes of our younger days.
Right.
You might have some standouts that, you can cherry pick and say, oh, no, this guy could.
Right.
Sure. But on average, the real athletes, the top of the top tier people, they are better athletes. And sure, if your traps are this big, maybe you can take a pile driver and it won't kill you. Maybe. But,
right.
You got some give and take here, but I think it's important to temper expectations as opposed to constantly trying to ramp up expectations. Because, again, you can only go so high before you can't go any higher.
Very true.
Then you kill the territory.
And I feel like I'm actually talking to Jim Cornette, because if Jim Cornette could keep his composure instead of flipping out, trying to get his point across. But honestly, this is what he's tried to say for all the years, and why he doesn't care for a lot of today's wrestling, because it takes away from the magic
Hmm.
of simplistically doing something to make magic.
Yeah, he ain't wrong.
Again,
He may
man,
come across some of things a little to the point where people aren't going to listen to him, but he ain't wrong.
that's the thing about it too. I think I talk about legends and getting a chance to talk to them and listen to them, and sometimes they go too far with they know what the business is. Well, the business is always evolving.
Mm.
So again, no disrespect to any um, to any legends, but it should be a mix of today's wrestling with a mix of yesterday and make it where everybody can enjoy it. I think a lot of and be respectful, learn the craft. There's not a lot of guys or girls who know the real craft of wrestling. Some of the best things in today's modern wrestling, for me, I always love for a wrestler to go to different places to learn different styles so you can wrestle anything thrown at you, you're able to take, you can adjust, you know, no matter what type of crowd you're dealing with, you have, okay, this is that, okay, this crowd is this way, no problem. Let me just do this. Oh, you go to a territory where you are used to being a face and they need bag. Hell, I can do that. No
Yeah,
problem.
that's actually one of the things that was my very first. Okay, this is what we need to do when we started running events. Was I don't know how it is where you're at, but Michigan and the surrounding Great Lakes areas is pretty territorial by city, and there are different trainers in different areas, but a lot of times, unless you're a guy who's been around for a really long time, you end up staying in your main geographical spot. So you get clicks, just different rosters basically. And I said, no, I want something different. I don't want just guys from here to wrestle each other. I want them to wrestle guys from other areas and pull them together. And then you actually get to see something different. It's not just people who are trained under the same system wrestling each other, in which, that's fine and all, but are you really going to benefit? Are the wrestlers going to be able to learn the skills that they need to learn by wrestling different people who learn differently, who understand things differently? I mean, the only way I'm going to get better is by wrestling a lot of different people, learn from their strengths and weaknesses, how to better my strengths and weaknesses. And that's what I want to do. It's like, I don't want just, young guys wrestling young guys, or trainer A guys wrestling trainer A guys. I want a big old mashed up melting pot of different people, different backgrounds, different levels of ability, because that's how people are going to get better, is if they're wrestling different types of people in front of the crowds. I'll always stand behind that. Like we need diversification is important in everything. You want different people, different backgrounds, different understandings, because those are the people you can learn from. I'm not going to learn from somebody who's exactly the same as me.
Exactly. For me, one of the things that I say, again, being the traditionalist that I am, for me, it feels like we're back to the territory system. And what I tell people that I feel like it's a great thing, I was like, but you have an advantage that the old territory never had. You can be seen anywhere in the world. You people don't have to follow a certain promotion. They can follow you, the wrestler, what as your journey goes from promotion to promotion to see your growth, to see you build into hopefully the main event star you are going to become. And I think that is such a great asset that I see a lot of guys and girls understand. You can see the ones that understand it and embrace it, and the ones who hadn't quite how understood what you have in front of you. That goes to hell, you doing YouTube, Facebook, all these different social medias. You doing promoting. You're giving yourself and making people, man, I wouldn't even care to watch this, but I know this, my favorite wrestler is going to be, hell, I got to watch it now. I got to see what they're going to do. And you watching it, oh man, this guy's great too. Now you've got hooked into not only following your wrestler, but now you found someone else. Maybe you found you're just so impressed with the promotion. Now you have another promotion, and you don't have to be caught in a regional feel. Whatever kind of wrestling you like, it's tons of different wrestling out there. You just have to look. One of the best things that, and never thought I would get this way, is my week. I'm always watching wrestling. I'm watching it from somewhere, and it's to the point that some days it's like, okay, I got to take a break of wrestling because my mental ain't right. Let me just take a day or two off. Then I'm coming back. Oh God, I need it. I can't believe I took those days off. But it's such a great feel, and there's no excuse why you can't watch wrestling.
Right.
You have so much out there that we didn't have as kids. Because if we did, we would have ate it up.
That's all we would have done was watch wrestling morning, noon, and night.
I'm telling you. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and my brothers and sisters, they moved to Atlanta. I'm the baby, so when I got to Atlanta and found out they had 8 hours of continuous wrestling,
jealous.
Man, they were like, "Hey, we're going to get food. Well, just bring me something back. I ain't moving." Wrestling, so and now we have that streaming services. And cheap plug for ours, our streaming services is coming back. Should be up sometime by March. So keep your eyes out for that. But we're not the only ones. There's so many different things. And then if you go down that rabbit hole, if you're a big fan, you can sit on YouTube and go through crazy amounts of finding things and the documentaries and the biopics. Mm-hmm. It's so much. And I tell people this all the time. Be thankful. You don't like old wrestling, that's fine. But if you see an older wrestler, you give them respect, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be where you at and have everything that you have today.
True.
And just enjoy it. The thing that really irritates me about wrestling now is the tribalism. WWE is the greatest thing of all time. AEW is the greatest. No, that. I don't care what you think as far as what's the greatest. It's wrestling. We can watch it. And if you don't like certain wrestling,
Then don't watch it.
I tell people this all the time. I'm probably one of the few podcasters that says this. And it's not to be negative, it's not to be mean. It's just this. I realize I'm not everybody's cup of tea. If you don't like what I'm doing, they have this thing that's called the off button. I don't know if you ever seen it, but I promise you, every remote has it. It may say power on it. Use it. Don't watch me. That's fine. I'm gonna be okay because I know there are fans out here that like what I do. So no problem. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna, oh my God, he turned me off. Oh Jesus, I can't make it, Lord. That's the freedom we have. And if I don't like a certain podcaster, I don't have to talk about him. I don't have to demean him. I just don't watch him.
Right.
Simple. That's wrestling. And be happy that you have so much stuff you can consume. I've seen, and great, not only if you, again, I find myself watching and going to a lot of territorial wrestling. There are so many great gems out there that if you just take the time to look and figure out what type of wrestling you like, I promise you, you can find it. I promise you that you can get out there. Talk to two promotions in Africa. One hooked me so much because it's the style of wrestling I like. I'm like, wow. I've talked to people in Australia. Man, around the world, wrestling is for everybody. May not be for the style you want, but there is somebody out there that is. So, as a friend of mine, Joe Monroe, says all the time, just shut up and enjoy wrestling.
Yeah. Too many people have too many opinions. Hey, if they're not paying your bills, who cares?
Exactly. I want to thank you for not only coming on the show, but for, again, your attitude. And it seems, because no matter what goes on, you seem to have an infectious attitude of being positive. And that translates so much into your business, into the wrestling, and then to your guys that enjoy it. I can imagine how much they enjoy coming to work for you because of the positive vibes that you give off. And it's a great thing that you're giving an option of wrestling and continue to see it grow and not die. Again, for an old school person like myself, I love every minute of it. It's simple, it's good, and you're giving people what they want. So thank you so very much for that. And we as fans, I know the ones that really appreciate you are very happy, and we want you to have continuous success and to keep the wrestling world going one suplex at a time.
I'll do the best I can. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Guys, girls, thank you so much for joining us for another great conversation around the campfire. If nothing else that you take away from this interview, I want you to understand that promoters, they go through a lot to entertain us, to keep the wrestling world going. So be appreciative of it. If you go to a show and you see the owner, let them know, thank them. Let them know how much you appreciate them. And think about it like this. Could you do the things that you're learning about? Could you handle that? Maybe some who can't. So be appreciative that we have people that are willing to do the work and to keep the passion and love of professional wrestling going. And with that being said, as I always end off my show, and I will not ever stop saying this, please, please, please go and support your local indie promotion. You never, never, ever know until you try it. You don't know who is a star in this promotion today, and down the road could be one of the biggest wrestling celebrities, superstars, world champions that's ever been. And you can say you saw the journey. So, and on top of that, you can actually go to a show with your family. You can buy concessions. You get to talk to the wrestlers. You can buy their merch. And after you walk out the venue, it's going to be a strange feeling, I know. But you still have cash in your pocket. You don't even know how the hell it happened. You got that much entertainment and enjoyment out of it. It's because they're not trying to kill us like certain companies. WWE, wink, wink. But enjoy them. And again, you get to talk to a lot of the athletes and get to see their side of things. And it leaves a lasting memory for young kids, I promise you, because I think that's how I became such a wrestling fan. The memories I had, and it was by our local wrestling. So again, make sure y'all support your local wrestling. With that being said, I'm Professor Bear. This has been a Bear's Thought, and we'll catch you around the campfire again very, very soon. Y'all take care.